It's good, YouTube. Put this shit up. So I ain't been fucking with YouTube in a minute now. So it's kind of hard for me to get back into this shit, but I'm gonna try to get back into this shit. I've been doing a lot since I used to upload. I don't kind of wipe down a lot of my videos and shit. I done did a few different things with this channel since I first created it. I think it was back in like 2009 or whatever like that. But I think I'm gonna start trying to take this into a more spiritual direction or something like that. So I was gonna just talk about light beings, right? Like in the conscious community you hear, or in the spiritual community, or whatever you want to call it, esoteric community, there's like the concept of light beings, right? And it's like something that I hang up on a lot because like I've read a lot of esoteric material. I've watched a lot of people on YouTube, and I've read a lot of things concerning the matter of like light, dark, good, evil, all that stuff like that. But as I researched, like, a lot of times, I guess they call it New Age or whatever you want to label it as, like in this spiritual community, light beings or light workers or anything generally associated with light is kind of considered to be good, right? And anything considered with dark or negative or black is kind of considered to be bad. But as I've been like researching and looking more into these topics, it's kind of seeming more to me, from my understanding and my interpretation and the way I kind of like try to understand it, is like the light kind of was the reason we're even here in the first place, which like here on Earth. So like they call us light beings, right? If you understand that philosophy, like if you go back to like Hermeticism and you understand, you know, if you go back to Kemet and how they said those were the children of light, and how a lot of different ancient pagan religions worship light, and then you go to Greek mythology, and then they'll say what was it, Prometheus, I believe it was the ones who brought fire, aka light, to the mortals, and which allowed them to make rapid technological advancements. And then you go to the Bible, which is Christianity, which is like an offshoot. And then you have the light bringer, who's Lucifer. But then on the same side, you also have the morning star, aka also the morning star is Lucifer, but you also have the morning star, which is Jesus, which would be like the brightest star or the brightest light, right? And then we also know, the allegories between Jesus and the sun and all that, the actual physical sun. So, in a lot of the stories, the light is actually kind of presented as some sort of downfall or detriment to people, right? Like Lucifer is a light bringer, but he's supposed to be this bad guy. Prometheus gave us fire, but they present him as this bad guy. So it's kind of like, and then and you get into deep into spirituality, and they start to teach you, that these beings were really leading us to a path of enlightenment. And it goes the word again, right? They were trying to enlighten us. They were trying to give us information we weren't privy to, that we wouldn't be able to comprehend, that we were unable to obtain otherwise without some sort of otherworldly help from some sort of deity or something of that nature, right? So the light in a broader aspect can be referred to as awareness or intelligence, knowledge, consciousness. These are all can kind of be kind of synonymous when you look at it in a esoteric, symbolic lens, because a lot of things are written in metaphor and allegory in these ancient texts. They aren't just saying specifically this is what we mean. They're writing these things in a specific way to convey a message, right? So If they're saying that Lucifer gave us light, and that light was our downfall, and one of the things that even the Bible says is once we fuck, and even the Bible says that once we got fucking bug and shit, once we got this light, we became intelligent. We could see that we were unclothed. We could understand, certain things we needed now to survive because we had to survive now because before we was eternal, so we didn't necessarily even have a need to do these things. But now Lucifer gave us light, and God, we now have knowledge, but God stripped out, immortality and things of that nature, according to that mythos. So one common denominator I'm noticing throughout almost every mythos I'm reading is light being a central point of the story and also usually starting out the story and sometimes ending it off in a lot of ways. So if light is the beginning and the end of this reality, and we know, and a lot of people in the spiritual community consider this reality to not necessarily be a good place. Not everybody says that. Some people look at this place as like supposed to be a learning place where you can, good and bad things happen. Other people see this place as sort of a hell or a reincarnation trap or a light matrix, and that is kind of what I'm hitting at. Is that if this is a light matrix and everything in this reality is based on light, even down to us as humans being light beings, and everything that we can witness is only possible through light. Everything else that we witness is only light, coalesced and slowed down to the lowest vibrations at the point where it becomes solid matter and is no longer intangible in this dimension. Um, that makes me believe that maybe the light is not the answer, and that maybe the darkness is. That maybe, and not saying that in a satanic or evil way, and not that even those are necessarily bad. I'm not necessarily sure. The word Satan was just given to us. It's just a word at the end of the day to describe a certain philosophy. But I'm not necessarily saying I subscribe to either one. I'm saying if the light is what this realm is kind of comprised of where you really are in the light matrix, and source, then that makes me believe that the answer may truly lie in darkness. It's not going to be. That's why they say meditate. That's why everything comes back to meditation, because in meditation is darkness. It's silencing of the mind. You close your eyes, so it's silencing of the vision. You're supposed to be in a quiet place, so it's silencing of the ears. You're encouraging not eating, so it's like a silencing of all sensory receptors. So it's like cutting off the lights in every sensory aspect. And they say this is when you get to your closest truth. They say this is when you can do things like contact your holy guardian angel. This is when you can cross the abyss. This is when you can astral project and do all these things, right? So if we can gain all these abilities in darkness, aka meditation, aka quietness, and shutting off the light in the outside world, then apparently this outside world is an illusion. And apparently this outside world doesn't want us to tap into our inner power, because it wants us more consumed and controlled and influenced and utilized by the outside world instead of us utilizing our inside and our intuition, our inner knowledge, our inner voice, and using that to guide us and to try to cultivate us as a people. And now that goes deeper than just, I feel like, meditation. I feel like that goes into uh, the concept of technology as well, but I don't know if that's going to be a little bit too much just to get into in this video. But I feel like light and technology are also very synonymous, and I feel like technology is going to be the catalyst that's going, or technology is the very thing that's going against God, if that makes sense. Which is kind of crazy because I'm talking to you on the phone. I'm doing this on the phone. I'm uploading through the internet. All this is technology. So it's kind of like, you know, kind of weird. But I believe that technology itself is kind of like the antithesis to source, to God, to the all, to one, whatever you want to label it as. I believe like technology is the antithesis of that, because if light it's synonymous with consciousness, intelligence, and all of these things. Technology is kind of like on the opposite end of that because we live in a duality, right? So like we have like real consciousness, real intelligence, then we have artificial intelligence. Artificial consciousness. We have the true source, which is darkness, which is where everything comes from. And then we have the false light, the light matrix, where everything seems to be visible, where this seems to be the real plane of existence, but it's not. We're getting blinded by the lights that are here. So we don't feel the real influence. We don't understand who we really are. We don't understand our real capabilities. We're just blinded by everything that's being presented in this 3D light matrix dimension. But yeah, that's some of my quick thoughts on that. Just kind of wanted to run that down. Just gonna upload this, see how it does. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. I guess if anybody watch, you know what I'm saying. I'm gonna probably just start doing more of these videos on this type of stuff, and try start sharing some of my methods and things of that nature. Of things that I do and my own rituals, my own practices. Uh, but these just some of my ponderings I have going on when I consider some of these things. I don't try to present anything I have discovered as fact because I don't believe there's any true facts in this world. By the way, I don't believe everything is subjective. I believe everything relies upon the information supplied before it. So really, we're all just making assumptions and subjective observations. At the end of the day, none of us have the absolute truth, or we wouldn't even be here right now, because this is in a way a school. It is a obstacle course. So let's run the race.